Hey everyone, hey, welcome back to yet another episode of Watching The Watchmen. We are slightly off course from mainstream programming. We are not doing Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' epic this week. We're in fact looking at the sequel, the fan fiction that is Doomsday Clock by Geoff Johns and the other guy who's drawing it. I forget his name now. Gary Frank. There we go. Gary Frank is the guy who's illustrating these marionettes and such. And yeah, me and Def, alongside doing Watchmen as a whole, are going through this issue by issue, and it's interesting to say the least. I wouldn't say it's some of the best comic literature I've ever held in my hands, or indeed on a PDF, but nonetheless, it's intriguing. So we are going through. And as ever, it's not just myself. I have my trusty sidekick, Def. Def, how you doing, man?
Stop me up. Stop me up. Stop me up. I never stop. Come on. How's it going, gang? We're just having a right party. Everyone's celebrating because Christmas is over and New Year's is on the way. Come on.
That's it. That beautiful interim period. Any Watchmen gifts, Steph, over Christmas? Or?
Not at all.
Okay.
I got quite a few comic book things. I got a big Justice League omnibus of the Dark Side War.
Oh.
It's not very good, but it looks good on the bookshelf, doesn't it? So, when you get ladies coming round. We'll talk about the ladies coming round later when we discuss the front cover of this book. Yeah. But yeah, I got that. So, good stuff.
That's New 52, is it? Dark Side War?
Yeah, that's like the last arc. Where everything just went fucking mental. Yeah. And Darkseid became a baby and stuff.
What?
Yeah, Batman becomes a god. Darkseid becomes a baby. Okay. Loads of weird shit happens in it.
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm sure we'll get to that one day. But yeah, as I say, this is a Watchmen podcast. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes as well. If you're unaware, if you are listening on YouTube, we have the iTunes feed as well, where you can catch up on all the past episodes, including our Doomsday one and all the Watchmen issues we've done. Please leave us a review on iTunes. Those are greatly appreciated. Those pushes up the algorithm and make us more visible. I know the thumbnail is of like space, and for some reason it won't change. But if you download it, you'll get the very cool patented Nathan Jones thumbnail, so shout out to that guy.
It's exclusive to people who download it. You only get to see the exclusive thumbnail if you download it. Yeah,
it's like an alternative cover, I guess, for the podcast. In a certain
fans
sense,
only, exclusive.
Get in touch with us as well. WatchingTheWatchmenPod@gmail.com. We'll read out 2 emails at the end. Always getting great emails, so thank you to everyone that's getting in touch as well. Love the correspondence. Let us know what you thought of issues past or present. We love reading them out. We love getting in touch as well. I think that's about it for this. And we get to Doomsday Clock, and as always, Def, we talk about covers, because, oh my God, the covers to Watchmen, they're so evocative, they're so important, they tell such a tale. What's your thought on the Doomsday cover, which is just sort of marionettes discarded uniform?
It reminds me a bit of my bedroom floor,
Right.
When people come round and they see my Justice League omnibus. Are you having that? Tied that in that joke before.
I've got a dark side, baby.
Yeah. Oh, shit! You just ruined my joke that I spent hours writing. But yeah, it's quite a good cover, to be honest. I like the nice leather. It's sort of got there's them 2 little red buttons on there. They sort of look like a face. It's kind of tying back to the button. It's got the red sort of choker, is that like a hair bubble? Yeah. Basically, it's sort of, in its layout, it's very reminiscent of the yellow button. It's got the red splash on the side where the comedian's blood was, except for now it's a ribbon. So yeah, he's calling back to that. So I like it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know we're slagged off the last issue. We seem to be the only people who didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
I got flack off this one kid who said you can't judge a book if it's only 1 issue. I said, you what? He was writing loads of comments saying you can't judge it. I went, look, you can judge it, mate. It's like saying you can't judge The Walking Dead episodes because you've not seen the full season. You can like something and you can dislike something, mate. I bet if we wrote a glowing review, he wouldn't give a shit. I don't know why this lad is listening to a podcast episode called Issue 1 Review to complain that we're reviewing 1 issue.
Sure.
Want some haters just hating it. I've read bloody 300 graphic novels over the past 18 months from my website, definition.co.uk. That's like 5 graphic novels a week, you little dickhead. My opinion's just as valid as yours. Anyway, all comments welcome.
Yeah, comment is free.
Make sure you comment. Yeah, get those analytics up.
Have you seen the? I guess it's the alternate cover of Lex with the button. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, that was actually in the issue. At the end of the issue last time, but it was in black and white, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and you've got Ozymandias' hand on his shoulder. I mean, again, it's not that.
It doesn't happen in the book.
No, no, there's no shoulder touching. Which
like that one where Batman's sitting down reading Rorschach's journal, like,
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to those characters interacting because that is a big theme of this. We've had the promised sort of crossover, and in this issue, we get this to a certain extent. And yeah, in terms of the cover, I don't mind it. I mean, yeah, it's sort of interesting. It's kind of. I don't know, almost like with the two buttons, it kind of looks like a bit of a creature, doesn't it? It looks quite disconcerting. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying it's trying to appeal to sort of the Ozymandias beast, which they reference in this as well. But yeah, it's kind of, and then we get the nostalgia as well. So Adrian is everywhere inevitably, and
this podcast is sponsored by nostalgia. Things just aren't as good as they used to be.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because in these opening pages, they're talking about that. She says that explicitly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a nod. I guess in Johns is being quite witty there because he's, this. How can a Watchmen sequel not be about nostalgia?
Yeah, true. And I like how they've got the buttons on there on the dress. They constantly love dropping the button, don't they? Mm-hmm. That's all they ever fucking. I'm surprised they haven't released buttons with the Watchman's face on, because God knows DC are rinsing the fuck out of this. What? I'm surprised they haven't released a bloody Rorschach's journal that you can sit down and read in your Batcave. Yeah, I mean, they just they'll just release anything, won't they? I'm surprised they haven't released Watchmen watches.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've given them the idea now. Don't fucking do it.
Well, I think I mentioned you before, and I want to urge everyone listening to read Magic Words by, what's his name? I don't want to get his name wrong. I think he's called Ian Parkin. But basically, Lance Parkin, sorry. And it's a biography of Alan Moore, and it's fucking fantastic. Like, I am the biggest Alan Moore fanboy out there. I am just, 2018, my resolution is to read all of his works. I think he's incredible. I think he's absolutely
even the one about the paedophilia.
Lost Girls.
Is that first?
Yeah,
is that first on your list?
That's pre-ordered, yeah. Some of those panels are fucked up, man. There's one of like Wendy wanking off Peter Pan and all the Lost Boys are like wanking on, and yeah, it's maybe that one last. But
well, you can have my copy if you want, Tom, because I don't think I'll be reading it. God knows if the wife found it, she'd be kicking off.
It literally, if someone didn't know what it was, they'd think it was child porn. Like if they just caught it in your library. So yeah, it's pretty risque. But yeah, that and Top 10 and Promethea and Tom's. Anyway, regardless, just because you mentioned buttons before, that was one of the things that pissed Moore off about DC, that when Watchmen was a huge success, they started selling these buttons that were supposed to be free, giving them to comic shops, but they were making profit on them, and Gibbons and Moore were seeing no kickback. So is this like a final stab from DC? Like, here you go, mate, remember these?
Yeah, I've just realised that Doomsday Clock, it's DC in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. D for Doomsday, C for Clock. It's fucking, it's full meta. Anyway, fuck DC. Selling buttons, selling everything Watchmen. Sick of them.
I think I showed you a picture as well. When the Watchmen film came out, there was some tie-in in some newspaper or something. I don't know what the fuck it was, but basically, if you sent off this coupon, you got like the Watchmen button as a USB with all stuff from the film on it. I've got it in my room on my thing. It could be worth millions. I don't really know. Yeah. So anyone that knows about that, get in touch with us. watchingthewatchmenpod@gmail.com. But Doomsday 2 begins with, as ever, as Watchmen, Moore and Johns will always do, events going back and forth in time and, phrases, juxtaposition, there's that word again, illusion, kind of playing us out. And we learn, which is kind of quite cool, I actually quite like this, where we learn about the tailor's wife, who I don't know if we're going to meet.
I don't like it because I've seen shit like this so much in comics where they're like, there was this woman who used to live on the bottom floor called the prostitute. All the superheroes would come round and have sex with her. And then they did it in a comic, and it's Wendy was in the next room wanking off Peter Pan. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's one of them staples in comics where they introduce some new character, and she's been doing it for years, and everyone got, and then, something happens.
Yeah.
Just one of them.
And it's just kind of, again, not to, you know, wank off more while the Lost Boys are watching, but, you know, they talk about the names of the characters. Dr. Van Gogh, Telltale Man, Bill the Lizard. I know they're, like, purposely bad, but I know if Alan Moore was doing this, that'd be kind of cool meta reference names, whereas these are just kind of, what even are these names? I don't know.
Yeah, and it just seems strange, especially when Watchmen doesn't really have any supervillains in it. Like,
no, apart from Moloch, he's kind of the only one.
Yeah,
really.
but he's like massively retired, and I mean, they do confirm in this that costume villains got scared the first time that they did the job. Yeah. But I suppose, you know, it's talking about this reiteration of costume people coming forward, which sort of speaks to Rorschach taking up the new Rorschach taking up the mantle of him, and you just kind of get this idea that there's recycled ideas all the time, and especially with the nostalgia bottle there, you sort of it's very much rehashing the same thing over and over because people want to live to a certain standard that they think there was previously, in the same way that Geoff Johns wants to live to the standard of Alan Moore, and I've just knocked it out the park with that analogy.
No. The themes are strong in this one, and I think that's fair play. You know, so we're going back to this bank, and you know, this is effectively being watched by the guys we learn later in Night Owl's lair. I mean, there's being nice, and then there's being a bank teller who's willing to lend money to someone whose account's overdrawn. It's a little over the top.
Yeah, I don't really like it.
No.
To be honest, this issue is sort of divided into 3 sections. You have this bank robbery bit, you have this Batman bit, and it's 2 sections. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, you sort of have the DC crossover.
Yeah, but it's very jarring. It's very jarring tonally, in aesthetic, in story themes. There's a clear divide between the book, and this entire first half, I just wasn't with it at all.
No,
I was just kind of like, no.
Yeah, I agree. I really hated pretty much all these opening pages because you're just reminded of how unmore Johns is. Like, I wish they gave this to Grant Morrison. I wish they gave it to, like, someone who's a really intelligent... Because to me, I don't know, I know you know Johns better than me, but to me, he's kind of the blockbuster guy. Like, he's the big event sort of guy. And, you know, we always talk about this in Watchmen. Someone says something, and the panel is different, but it's referenced to. I can't get over Ozymandias saying that the marionette and, you know, Punch, whoever, see the world through a warp lens, and we literally see a warp lens in the panel. It's like, Jesus, come on!
Yeah, I do quite like the nice little divide in the full panel spread, where you've got the villains on one side of the Owl Cave, and Ozymandias and Rorschach standing on the other. You know, there's a nice little divide between them. But other than that, it's sort of it's a bit like Johns is really good at getting things to the status quo. Whenever DC reset the universe, like they did with the New 52 or they did with Rebirth, Johns always writes the first story. So he wrote Flashpoint, which was brilliant. He wrote the Justice League first graphic novel, which was brilliant. He did the first one for Rebirth. He's really good at like he's like who you would get if you were starting a new Doctor Who. That's topical. That guy's finger on the pulse right here. You know, he's your Joss Whedon. You'd get him in. He's very good at pleasing out. He's J.J. Abrams.
He is J.J. Yeah.
He started off the Star Wars. He got everything together. He showed that we could make a great first Star Wars film. That Star Wars still worked, but he leaned very heavily on things that had came before,
on nostalgia?
And sort of exactly, and sort of returning things to the status quo. And that's what Johns is great at. When he's trying to go off with his own ideas, they're not as good, unfortunately.
No. The Guard is reading Black Freighter, by the way. I just know, like, I knew he was reading something because I could see the title, but yeah, if you zoom in, you can see he's reading Black Freighter, which again is kind of a wink-wink sort of thing. So yeah, we have you know, us watching these tapes back, them getting ready. You're getting your hands dirty again. He's literally getting his hands dirty. Like, again, that's not as bad as the warp lens one, but the warp lens one is
it's just like puns, isn't it?
Yeah, it's literally
like, can you imagine the script for this where Geoff Johns is like, in caption, he's getting his hands dirty. note to Gary Frank, draw dirty hands. It's like very on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah, and in that book, this sounds like an advert for Lance Parkin, but in the Magic Words book, they have a brilliant Watchmen section all about his beef with DC, the writing of the book, etc. And one of the things they go into is how long Alan Moore scripts are, how unusually long they are. And it's something like each Watchmen issue is like 90 pages long, and the description of the first panel is like 3 pages long. Like, it is crazy, but here it's, you know, much more on the nose. It really lacks the subtlety. Even just little things piss me off that shouldn't, but they do. Like on the next page, when because she's clearly sort of a Harley Quinn, sort of rapacious murderer.
That's genuinely what I thought she was going to be when the lipstick came out, and you could see a pale skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair and blonde eyebrows. I thought, oh, this is going to be like Harley Quinn. And they're going to sort of have their own, with it being an alternative dimension, they're going to sort of have their own version of that, which they sort of do, but I thought was literally going to be Harley Quinn.
Yeah. I mean, she says Happy Monday, someone says it's Wednesday, whatever. It's just like, I don't know, it just all plays a little bit too much kind of broadly for me. The mime as well, kind of gesturing towards her. And this plan, it kind of makes you realise how sort of silly it is that if we find Manhattan, we save the world. We'll be heroes again. I mean, it's like a microcosm of Ozymandias' ultimate plan of killing people, isn't it? It's just misguided. You can see the plot holes from a mile away.
Yeah, and I do, to the book's credit, I do like how we do initially watch the scene on a security camera, and then we get taken directly into the action. It's got a good tonal shift. It's sort of commented on voyeurism, how removed you are from situations, and then when you're living in the moment. Reading this the first time, I did sort of think about, this is going to get like really graphic and violent all of a sudden, and I did start worrying for these characters in the bank, but it doesn't really go to that place, unfortunately, and it's very kind of mundane. Like, he's just robbing the bank with his finger. It's a bit,
I mean, look, credit where it's due. The art is really good.
Gary Frank is absolutely brilliant. He did an absolutely outstanding Superman story where it's got the Christopher Reeve look to Superman, but it's really, really good art, and everything that the guy does is really well thought out, well done. But it sort of loses the tweeness of Gibbons' work. There was a nice sort of, I don't know, like cartoonish feeling to Gibbons' work that when it was doing all the graphic violence, it kind of was like, whoa, it was like, Bugs Bunny, but next level. It had like a nice relatable aspect to it that you could sort of harken back to your childhood with, and think, I remember reading Beano comics and stuff like that that had very similar drawings, and it was elevating that feeling for you, and it just made a world of difference in those books. Whereas this, it's well drawn, but it just doesn't have that personality that Gibbons has had.
Totally agree. Yeah, there isn't that soul behind the faces. Like some of them are good. Like I like the section on the next page where he puts against the glass and then smashes his head through. It's quite kinetic. I like the use of the paneling adjacent to each other. I see Watchmen has trained me, similar to like when you watch Lost, to investigate everything. And I'm just looking at the panel now when he breaks through the glass. And there's a picture and the woman saying but it just looks like a fish or something. It doesn't actually look like anything. I thought it was going to be something that like reveal the plot, but no, it's not. It's not really anything.
Well, maybe issue 12. That it's going to be some massive fish.
Yeah, the bank fish picture.
Like fish was there all along.
Maybe. Oh, it's going to end like that, isn't it? I just know that Doomsday Clock's going to end with a massive monster. It has to.
Yeah.
It's just,
we're slagging Frank off, but when he gets to the DC stuff, I think he fits that better.
Yeah.
Like Bruce Wayne stuff, I think is absolutely brilliant. I think his Lex Luthor stuff's incredible. And he fits that aesthetic a lot better than this. I kind of think it's almost too realistic for Watchmen.
Sure.
I would have rather had like a bit more of a cartoonish drawer. Fucking hell, that sounds stupid, doesn't it? It's off reading this comic book. I would much rather have had illustrations by a more cartoonish artist, because this is just sort of It's a bit too realistic, and it takes away the dark comedic edge that Watchmen had.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we learn later that they're on a spree. They've killed a lot of people before this as well. So you do wonder where the police are. But whatever, the alarm's been raised. They go to the cashier. They grab the cashier's son's picture, who's holding an Ozymandias doll, which, I mean, it's... I guess you've got to get your references to the world in somewhere. There's a nostalgia perfume in her bag. It's just a little unnecessary. It's like, we know we're reading a Watchmen comic. We don't need to have all these signposts. Yeah,
and it's very cliche. It's strange that once again they've decided to use the holding the kid hostage motif, like the first issue.
Yeah.
Rorschach got... What are their names? Is it Marionette and Mime?
Yes, that's right. I keep forgetting their names as well. They're quite forgettable,
They basically lured Marionette out because they used her kid as a hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing again. It's a very basic thing used to drive characters. Like, Moore would have found a much more creative way to threaten a bank teller.
Totally.
And he would have, like, you know, shook up the stock market or something. It's strange that the most interesting character in this entire book, I think, is the bank manager.
Yes.
It's actually more evil than the villains. He's definitely the most interesting in this bank robbery. He uses words like retard.
Yep.
You know, he isn't PC anymore. Moore is back. Moore is back. He gets his finger cut off, which stops him using the security lock. It's very... It's just he's a nice character. He's very fleshed out in very little. You sort of get that he's an arsehole boss. He's more worried about the money than he is his staff. He fucking calls the cashier's son a retard.
And he says, and you're a bore to look at as well. So he insults the son, and he's like, and you're ugly, by the way.
Yeah, he's the best character in their book. I want to see a spin-off with just him.
Yeah.
Written by Geoff Johns. Oh, no, it's going to be terrible.
No, they do before Watchmen 2. And they do him, they do the mind. It's not going to be good. So, and then we get some hyper-violence. And we get sort of the first bit of action, really, in the next panels, where she does a gambol in the air for some reason, slices off his finger quite artistically. It's kind of cool that his finger's sort of hanging there, and the cut's been made. It's quite gruesome. What are your thoughts on the attack?
I didn't really get the whole flip thing.
No.
It just starts like she's tumbling through the air, and that's all you see of it, and then she comes down. But yeah, it is like good. It sticks in your mind.
It does, and there's a bit of dark, more like humour that the thing she cuts off is what they need to unlock the safe, and and then we get Dr. Manhattan arriving, which is quite exciting. You know, obviously his arrival is a direct reference.
It's his return.
Is it his return? Because hadn't he left Earth? I'm trying to think where this plays into.
No. This is way before the end. This is way before Watchmen,
right.
I think. So it's his return to the story. You know what I mean?
It's
like when you say Luke Skywalker, he's back. The lad is back.
But this is before the cancer conspiracy. Yeah.
So this is when he was out superheroing people.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, they do say, actually, he does say you mess with the wrong bank, actually. So maybe Dr. Manhattan... I mean, we've seen Dr. Manhattan has multiple Dr. Manhattans, so arguably, perhaps this is just... The alarms go off, and he just splits into another person. I don't know.
I think it's a bit too small scale for Dr. Manhattan, to be honest.
Yeah.
He was off stopping... He was solving fucking energy crises and stuff. Now he's stopping bank robberies. What
he's gone from the Vietnam War to fucking TSB. Like, it doesn't really make any sense. But he's... And I just hated the fact she says, wow, nice briefs. It just robs the moment of any poetic brilliance. It's just... And I know that's who she is, but it just undermined it for me.
Do you think we'll get a Dr. Manhattan Dick?
I don't think so.
I don't think we will, you know. I think Johns is like, nah, I'm not doing it, lads. I'm trying to sell these books to kids. That's why fingers are getting sliced off.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's some quite gruesome art actually with the bank manager, the tears running from his eyes, looking at the stump of his finger. But I mean, you get the feeling that Dr. Manhattan could just click his fingers and the fingers back on. Like, at least you hope.
Why did he arrive here then?
Yeah,
he could have arrived here 5 minutes before.
I mean, he knew this was going to happen. Surely, he knows everything's going to happen.
It's too small scale for him. This is like Rorschach level.
Yeah, it is. And he arrives, and Mime faces off with him. I mean, we've discussed in the previous. I know. I fucking hate this fight. It's so awful. I
want to see this fight. Just to see the lad get completely torn apart.
What do you think of the depiction of Dr. Manhattan just visually? I mean, they've done quite a good job.
I don't like it. I don't know what it is.
He looks sort of a bit... I don't know, he looks skinnier almost. I can't explain it. Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is weird. And then, so he's going to kill Mime.
He doesn't have the power, on the page.
No, I agree. There's something quite holy and sacred about Dr. Manhattan. He looks a bit more
even
tangible.
Though, his expression in Watchmen is expressionless, and he's expressionless in this as well, but it's not as expressionless.
No.
So it's not as good. Fuck it. Fuck the lads.
I mean, something on the level of, Batman vs Superman Martha, like him not destroying, because she's killed 37 people.
Yeah.
So why can't he weigh up the mathematics and just be like, and this is the person who said, humans, alive or dead, it's the same atoms, blah, blah, blah.
It's because you can see she's got a baby.
Yeah, but why does that matter to him? I would think he's quite inhuman by this point, but maybe it's before he really breaks away after, the Wally Weaver stuff.
Yeah, but I don't get why he couldn't just kill Mime anyway. Her standing in front of Mime means fuck all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got a gun that's shooting forward. It's just like he just needs to click and he's dead. So it's
it's not like he needs to pass through stuff as energy waves. He just be like, all right, yeah, you're literally doing nothing here.
And
I've already killed the lad. Turn around.
Yeah, exactly. They've expended so much death already. I don't know why he cares. And when I first read this, for some reason I didn't realise it was the heartbeat, and I thought Babum was this character in the world who was talking to Dr. Manhattan.
I didn't even know it was. I thought the baby was called Babum.
Yeah, what the fuck? It's just badly told. It's just the panelling's all over the place, and it doesn't make it very clear. It's like,
I was gonna name me kid after that because I'm such a huge DC fan.
And we see this kid. I mean, this kid better turn out to be important. I'm sure it will. It'll be fucking Rorschach as I don't know what the fuck he's gonna be, but yeah. And this is the reason, apparently, that fucking Ozymandias wants to get them involved. I thought there was going to be a great reveal. Maybe there's more for us to learn.
Yeah.
But if this is the reason that John had a twist of fate, John changed his mind, I'm sure he did this to quite a few people. I'm sure he wasn't this, despot that was killing criminals. I'm sure he had a heart, because, obviously he had the ties to Sally, and he had a sort of human relationship and stuff like that. So it's just... Is this why they're using them? Because John decided not to kill them after they killed loads of people?
Yeah, well, they kind of allude to the fact that these are two people that John's going to remember, and it's going to make him want to return to Earth. But you could have chosen better characters than these, surely. Yeah. The fact he's got someone dressed up as Rorschach, that's enough for him to want to return, surely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe that is why he's got someone dressed up as Rorschach, because he's like, oh, look, it's all the people you knew when you were on Earth, they're back. But, it's just... But this is probably going to be the only time that we see Dr. Manhattan before his big reveal in the present.
Yeah.
And it's just a very bum note. It just feels like a cameo. I don't see why they need to get him back, why this is so important. It's just a bit of a mess.
Yeah, and it's just so tenuous, what they're talking about. And Rorschach says you could have got some other people, should have got Laurie, and Ozymandias says seeing her with Dan could upset him. Well, we know it won't, because he didn't care on Mars, so why would he care now?
Didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's just,
he smiled. He actually smiled when he seen them together, didn't he?
Have you read Watchmen? It's quite a big plot point that he doesn't care. I just don't.
Yeah.
It's quite frustrating, Def.
But when he's leaving Earth, he goes and sees them, doesn't he? Yeah. He sees them together on that bed, in that tiger skin or whatever, and he gives a little cheeky smile, give her one for me. So yeah, I don't see why I would care.
No, I don't really understand that either.
I suppose Ozymandias wouldn't know that, but
yeah, I guess so. But I mean, the reader does, so it doesn't make it
Plan
that tense.
B isn't getting the fucking marionette in the mime. That's not Plan B.
Mine, man. These are going to be the stickler for me. If these are in the whole series, which of course they're going to be, yeah, this is not going to work.
Hopefully they just go mental at the end and fuck up the whole plan and murder everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe. So Archimedes, Archie, takes off, and then we get to the next page where they all sort of jump in the owl, and we learn a bit more about, you know, what we already know, that the world is in kind of, you know, a horrible uproar. And I mean, kind of interesting in a way that they can find Dr. Manhattan, that the blue is like the electrons leaking from the body to the trail. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, it talks about his intrinsic field again, which if you go back and listen to our episode on Dr. Manhattan's origin, I said it's a bloody intrinsic field is what his power is, that he can manipulate it and shit. And everyone laughed at his. They were all slagging us up. Eric Ferguson, he was sitting there giggling, going, this guy's a fucking dickhead. But yeah, it got mentioned here again. I'm sure Eric didn't say that. He's a lovely guy.
No, he's a good man. But we have 4 questionable people in Archie. The nukes have been fired, so it's tense, kind of. Ozymandias has a Dr. Manhattan button that basically allows him to do this quantum tunneling to go to this next one.
Yeah, so go back, right? I didn't know. I thought that explosion was like them on the ship.
It's not. Yeah, it's not clear, is it? Yeah, I
thought they got blasted in the other dimension.
Yeah, again, the missile just comes out of nowhere. And it's not clear when the missile is fired if it's them or the missile. So it's like, it's a bit, again, there's a lot of issues, just minor issues with the panelling here.
So is that a nuclear bomb hitting the pedestrians?
I think so, because Ozymandias says in the previous thing, are the 4 hours up, are the nukes in the air? So that was kind of their timer for it. But it's just, this is what I don't, this is what I don't like about it. I think Watchmen, we have done long episodes and issues of Watchmen, and it's watertight. It holds up to the scrutiny, and you can really enjoy yourself. This, it just has too many lapses for me, too many ruts in the road. But yeah, we go through. And again, Def, it's quite a nice homage, isn't it? Seeing their skeletons fragmented, which brings back images of Dr. Manhattan, of Bubastis from issues of old.
Yeah, it's a nice little touch. I just didn't know what the hell was going on.
No, I agree. It's a
little where's this button come from that they can use to travel through dimensions?
Yeah, in Archie. So I guess this is Ozzy's base, but I mean, he's
in Archie, driven by Night Owl.
I know, fucking repurposing. I mean,
the lad went to a mechanics every fucking night on Friday and talked to some old guy. If he had this button in his fucking thing, do you not think he'd be off swanning off to the 70s?
I really hope.
The 70s, the best bloody decade of all time.
If we're playing with timelines, I would love for them to go back to 39, and they mentioned at the start of this issue, when the Minutemen were in their heyday. That would be cool to see. If we're going to play with timelines, let's go back into Watchmen's timeline. But fucking Johns had fucked that up as well. So yeah, they get eviscerated. They
go back in time and kidnap the black lad from who was reading Black Freighter, make him Rorschach. Just go mental. Yeah, we don't.
With it. Again, Rorschach's identity is still a mystery at this point. They go forward, he pushes this button.
They give him a name, though.
They do.
They call him Reggie. So instantly I Googled Reggie Watchman, but it just came up some baseball card, some football card, some American football card, where a black guy was running on the front of it, and it just had Watchmen written behind him.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind the art here of them going forward into this world, and they're all eviscerating, and then Rorschach's face or Reggie's face becoming the ink blot. Now, Def, we all know on the show that you are Mr. Batman. You adore Batman. Your Batman knowledge is unparalleled. Your fandom is unquestionable. What are your thoughts on the first appearance of Mr. Wayne here?
I went fucking mental.
Yeah.
I went wow. I was like, it's worth it. It's the best book of all time. I do like how they sort of tie the universes together. Like when Archie's flying through the sky, one of the pedestrians say, "Is it a plane?"
Sure,
which obviously is a massive Superman motif. So it's subtly tying the two universes together. And Rorschach, I've said it 400 times. We're going to be 401 after this. Rorschach and Batman are very similar. So it's nice that these two characters are sort of intertwined throughout this issue from this point. You start with Bruce Wayne having a Rorschach test, and it's very similar to the Rorschach origin story issue that we've just done over at Watching the Watchmen podcast, the podcast that you're now listening to. Come on. Like and comment, subscribe. Don't comment if it's a negative comment. Just write nice things like, I love this. Yous are great. Definition's great. So yeah, completely shit myself when this happened. And it's just nice that Batman, he's doing the Playboy persona still.
Sure.
All he's ever seen is a yacht. And I quite like how the last one, it does look a bit like a bat.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even say that, which the psychiatrist is probably like, this guy's fucking mental because this looks like a bat. And he lives in Gotham, which is home of Batman. Surely everyone would see that.
Yeah.
He just talked about speedboats and shit.
Yeah, you are right, actually. I mean, obviously I consider the parallels, but I didn't consider that we meet Bruce through Malcolm. Obviously it's not Malcolm Long, but through a therapist origin explicitly. So yeah, it is tying them together in a nice way.
Why don't they meet through Malcolm? Is it because he's off being Rorschach?
I'm gonna throw out them, even though he's called Malcolm, not Reggie. I think in some places Malcolm's short for Reggie. So
it's their son. It's their fucking son.
It could be the son.
Son.
They did have children actually, because he has the dad mug, doesn't he? So
yeah, it's the son.
Yeah, they could be.
He found his dad's notes and he went off on one.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. So we get to meet Lucius now, which is quite cool. And I should say as well, which I didn't quite realise, and I needed to read the interview with Geoff Johns to appreciate this, because I'm not like a DC head. I'm just reading Doomsday, just a Watchmen fan. This is taking place now where we are in Gotham, a year in front of where the current universe is, isn't it?
Is it?
It is.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is. So we've got this giant leap. So basically, where we are now...
It's not like I read Batman every week or anything.
Right. So where we are now is kind of... this is explained in the liner notes at the end, but there's some sort of meta-human controversy that's kind of explained a little bit later. And yeah, basically Bruce and Lucius are talking, and I quite how they talk about the Mad Hatter and the twins are on the loose. As a Batman fan, who are the twins? I don't know who the twins are.
It's a bit like my namesake. So my name is Paul Tweddle. The twins are Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Right.
From the famous story Alice in Wonderland.
What is? I know about Mad Hatter as a character.
Oh, I fucking hate his
powers? I don't really know who he is.
So he has these hats that he puts on people. That it's mind control. It's basically
literally a mad hat. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and I did a massive thing on my website where I just went on a rant slagging him off in the middle of a review. Got quite a lot of hate from it, but it's just a plagiarist character to me. Like,
yeah, it's just
Mad Hatter's already a character.
Exactly.
Who greenlit this and come up with it? And pretty much every story that I've read with him was absolutely fucking terrible. Over over the 30 years I've been alive, I'd never read a story with him that I enjoyed until Scott Snyder did this one, where he sort of he created this thing that filters the world and skins it as you want to see it. You know how Snapchat and that's going about, right. We're slowly losing our identities because people are sticking dog ears on everything. Mm-hmm. Great issue in which Bruce Wayne he confronts the Mad Hatter. The Mad Hatter's like, look, you little dickhead. You think you're Batman, you're not. You're some fucking paralyzed kid, and all I've done is give you this filter that makes you think you're Batman. But people, you're only meant to wear the filter for an hour because it can have adverse effects where people lose their grip on reality and stuff. And you've been living this lie that you're Batman. I'm actually here to help you, and all your villains are psychiatrists and stuff. You're in Arkham Asylum. You're fucking mental, mate. And I was reading it going, Jesus Christ, this is the best thing that they've ever done with a villain ever. I started shitting myself. I started thinking, what if I'm mental? And I started like counter guessing all of Batman's 75-year history and stuff. And it was a really good use of the character that also commented on society at the moment. I don't want to spoil the ending, but definitely check out All-Star Batman Volume 2. That has that story in. But yeah, other than that, the lad's fucking shit as a villain.
Big up Scott Snyder, by the way.
Yeah.
I listened to him on Fat Man on Batman. Have you listened to that, Kevin Smith's Batman podcast?
Oh, have I listened to a Batman podcast?
I hope you have.
No, never heard of it. What's it about? Dickhead.
I thought Scott. I hadn't really heard him speak before, and I thought he came off really well. And I think he's a really good comic book writer. But yeah,
did you listen to the Grant Morrison ones?
The Grant Morrison ones are amazing.
Yeah, they're
absolutely amazing. They are some of the best of his Killing Joke stuff and his explanation of the ending. Had me teary-eyed.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. It's just I kind of think it's a shame that Fat Man on Batman sort of diverted from that format now.
It's just sort of comic more stuff. It's just
it's more like a TV show now, and he doesn't really get. I mean, Mark Bernardin's great on it. But it's sort of diverted from its original formula, and I do kind of wish that Kevin Smith would go back and interview these people again. Because I mean, he could definitely get some big. He had Paul Dini on it a couple of times, and those episodes are brilliant. I mean, the guys had Denny O'Neil and that, but
Greg
no, I've never heard of it. What is it, Tom? What is that podcast?
It's a rival to us in a certain way, so I'm not going to give it any more airtime. But yeah, we get a lot of exposition here. If you actually look at the paneling of Lucius and Bruce, there's so much text on the page.
It's a fucking mess, isn't it?
Because they really have to explain a lot. So they talk about LexCorp and Wayne Enterprises, blah blah, and the meta gene, which to me,
Superman theory it mentions quite heavily.
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a cliche, isn't it, in superhero comics that the public hate the superheroes because we've had Watchmen. That's the ultimate vigilante, accountancy story.
Yeah, I do quite like it though. I much prefer Batman when he's against the police and the public. I don't like when he's like this public figure walking down the street, like shaking people's hands and stuff, like he was in the '66 show. I always like, my perfect Batman is he's 30 years old, very handsome man. He's in his first couple of years of it, the supervillains are just starting to arrive. There's a war going on between them and the gangsters. The public, most people don't believe he actually exists. Most of the police don't believe he actually exists, and they're sort of trying to always catch him, and they're glad that he's helping, but they also want the publicity from bringing him down. I don't like it when Batman's like a big staple of Gotham and everyone knows about the lad. So it's nice. I do appreciate that they've turned him into a villain almost. He's an anti-hero.
Yeah, and I think this, as I say, is in the future. So the Batman comics, the Rebirth comics at the moment, this isn't happening, is it? They don't hate Batman at the moment?
No, not at all. No. Okay. He's in Batguard mode at the moment, which is where he's always able to outthink everyone, take them down. And that's sort of, Grant Morrison basically made Batguard, which is where Batman was always like the best member of the Justice League. He was always tactically far superior to everyone else. And then Scott Snyder sort of brought him down, made him very vulnerable. Like there's some, like the Court of Owls, Batman just gets the absolute shit kicked out of him. There's points where he's crawling through this maze and he's going mental. He's costumes he's barely holding his costume together. And Rebirth sort of went back to the Batguard motif, where he's very calculated. He's always one step ahead of everyone. He's a full military tactician. He's able to take on like millions of people and bring them all down. So it seems like they're going this sort of way with that, where they're building it up to Batman so good that the police are now going against him, and because of that the public are too. They mention Rex Mason and Kirk Langstrom as well. Rex Mason is a character called Metamorpho, which he's sort of like a hulking figure. His power is that he can make any element. He's a good guy, and he's been a member of the Justice League, and he's sort of very 70s based. He's one of those Silver Age characters. Kirk Langstrom is Man-Bat, which is obviously like a massive hulking bat that haunts Gotham, and he's a great character. Absolutely, like my favorite Batman animated series episode is the first one, which focuses on Man-Bat, and it's called On Leather Wings, so definitely check that out. It's free on Amazon Prime.
Scott Snyder mentioned that actually in Batman on Batman. I've not seen it. He said it was one of his favorites as well.
It's absolutely brilliant. Just like the way the animation is, the score, it's really well put together. And Man-Bat was always kind of this goofy character, but that makes him believable. He's sort of like a Jekyll and Hyde sort of thing. So it's nice that they mention very early on these niche characters like Tweedledee and Tweedledum, Rex Mason and Man-Bat.
Yeah, and we get some nice allusions here. I gotta say, I quite like the sequence where the bat signal, the eyes come in, and then it
really like that.
Through. Yeah, I think that's very, very nice.
I wish they'd started the book off like this. Just Bruce Wayne getting a Rorschach test. He steps outside. The bat signal's out there. 2 massive eyes beam through. Boom.
You're right. Actually, that's a way better way to start it.
Yeah, you've mixed the world together, and then you can fill in about the riots back home and why they've travelled to this Earth in the space of like a page.
And I noticed this only because, I mean, we're doing Killing Joke very soon, actually. I think Killing Joke will be the next one we do. And I bought it. I've never actually owned it. I bought it yesterday on my Waterstones gift card. Thank you to my dear brother for that.
I got mine from Waterstones as well. That's really weird. So I remember always going into it's the only ever book like I bought from Waterstones, I think. Well, graphic novel anyway.
Right.
And they always have it on the shelves, like pointing at you, like everywhere. You can't fucking turn around without it being there.
So I noticed, because I just read Killing Joke yesterday, that where Archie crashes is clearly the fairground of Killing Joke, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, which is interesting. You know, again, it's kind of, we're in DC world now, and
homage and more again.
It is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we're here, and they've survived, and I quite like Rorschach not being conscious, and then the sign that he's alive is that the ink blots start to move. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, this is where the book really picks up, and they honestly should have just started with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, they land in the fairground with the elephant and that. Very Killing Joke. They also, by doing this, confirm that the mime isn't the Joker.
Yes.
A lot of theories were going about that. Now there's 3 Jokers in the DC universe, and a lot of theories were going about that this was one of the Jokers, but in doing so with this timeline, he can't be.
No.
And again, they mentioned that Rorschach's name's Reggie.
And
so I have no idea who that is. It's his son.
It could be his son. We're here in this world. He's angry. They've made it. I mean, Ozymandias, they're going off him and Rorschach to find, quote unquote, the smartest men in this world. Does he really think that handcuffs are going to stop them? Really?
Yeah, I don't really know. He's meant to be. He's the smartest man in the world, isn't he? So.
Yeah, but I mean, just, I don't know, lock them in a box or.
Maybe his plan was to make it look like he was locking them up to Rorschach, so Rorschach would go along with them, but he knew they'd escape.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and maybe Walter Kovacs would have known their escape, but Reggie might not be as experienced there.
Reggie.
We get. I want to say Bubastis, but I don't know if it's been referred
I need to
to
have a word with my mate actually, because his name's Rajiv. I've just remembered his email address is reggie2k13@hotmail.com. So you never know, the lad could actually be Rorschach.
He might be, actually.
So fan theories. Upvoted on Reddit. Upvote it.
Do you, because we get explanations that the cat is very important. She's more than a pet, he says. She's the compass. So, I mean, this is me thinking here that it is Bubastis who Intrinsic Field was pulled apart, as we saw in the last issue, and now it can see intrinsic fields, I guess, and can lead them there. Or
I like how they need to explain that, but they don't explain why they've just got a button that shifts dimensions. What they should have done is they should have explained the dimension shift and then just had a button on Archie that could track Dr. Manhattan. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, when we were in the team, the Watchmen, we all had like these implants put in us or something that allows us to be tracked by Archie if we're ever in danger. They were going to use that. You know what I mean? Don't fucking bring Bubastis into this. Don't bring the lad into it.
Yeah. But Bubastis is there. They lock them up in Archie. But
I think it's just to sell action figures, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like plush toys of Bubastis, like them Porgs in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, the Porgs. I mean, they just a quick tangent. They weren't as bad as I thought. I personally, I didn't really like Last Jedi, but they weren't all over the place, were they? They weren't like the Minions or something.
No, they weren't bad. I thought they'd just be like a character, but they weren't at all.
No,
They were just background noise.
And we're in Gotham. You know, we're appreciating the difference here. There isn't Watching the Watchmen graffiti, but there is a bat, you know, crossed out, which is just really, really tame graffiti.
Yeah, it's like PG graffiti. Yeah. You know, whenever you watch a PG movie and there's always like graffiti in like scenes and stuff in the background, they always have like stuff like rap is cool.
Yeah.
And police are bad. It's very PG graffiti. Keep an eye out for it in movies. It's quite funny.
And they pass some movies. Nathaniel Dusk and the adjournment. I didn't get any of these references. They went over my head. Is this some DC thing or?
No, Nathaniel Dusk, I googled him. He's a real movie character.
Okay.
But it's like fictional detective from the 40s. Carver Coleman, though, didn't get anything when I googled him. So I'm not too sure what that is. They kind of hang on that moment quite a bit as well.
They do. They do,
Which is, I actually read that panel a couple of times to see if I was missing something, but...
Yeah, they say his death remains one of Hollywood's most brutal unsolved murders. I guess a comedian allusion, I don't know. And then they mention Hemingway, Wolfe, and Mayakovsky, who... They do say, what have they got in common? And I did work this out because I didn't realise, just from my, very, very useful English literature degree, that all three of these committed suicide. So I don't know if that's some sort of... But I still don't know what that really means. But, you know, here we are, Gotham City Public Library. And again, I do want to praise the art. I think the art looks pretty cool here. I love the long panel on that page. You just get really the gothic feel of this library. But... there's nothing worse than, like, in movies when you get, like, the front page of newspapers and it tells you the plot and it sort of keeps you going.
Yeah.
It's just quite lame to see Ozymandias and fucking Rorschach on a computer in a library. It's like, didn't they already know these things? I know they're going to a different dimension and maybe they don't know who's the smartest planet, whatever. What did you Google, though? Smartest men in the world. How are you going to get definitively? I don't know what he's going to find. It's just lame. It's
the two smartest men in the world. Like, why do they feel like they need two?
Yeah.
Why not just go for Google the smartest man in the world and then both go to him?
I guess it's smartest in this place maybe means powerful. Like if an alien came, they'd probably find like Bill Gates or whatever. But it's still, it's quite lucky that they landed in Gotham. But they knew this. Yeah. And actually, if you look at
Lex lives in Metropolis anyway, so I don't know what the fuck that's about.
That's true. Yeah. Are they close to each other? Are they like a New York, Chicago, or?
Depends.
Yeah, I guess.
What version? Like the DC movie stuff. Gotham and Metropolis are just across the harbour, but nothing else. I don't think has them that close in proximity.
No. Well, I mean, they find out the men, Lex and Bruce, and then they basically split up, and we get quite a nice section here. I'm not going to say it's great, but it's fine. Rorschach going into Wayne Manor.
Yeah, you know what? Never really occurred to me. Ozymandias is sort of a cross between Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne. Like, he's a crime fighter, but he's also a supervillain. He's a billionaire. He's sort of the in-between of them, which, never really occurred to me till reading this book, that he's sort of a basis and he works as both. What would happen if they both went mental or Lex Luthor was to win or something? Wayne Manor, did he just show up there? I've got a feeling that Wayne Manor is very fucking secure.
Yeah.
Mainly from the fact that once the police broke in, they didn't break in, they believed that Bruce Wayne was Batman, so they went to arrest him. And there's actually, they found the entrance to the Batcave, right? And you're reading it thinking, fucking hell, how can they get out of this? Anyway, there's a security thing in the entrance to the Batcave that if you're not Batman or Alfred, another staircase opens up instead of the main one that just goes down into like a basement, like man cave, with like a TV and like comic books and like dartboard and stuff. So it's pretty fucking secure. I don't think you could just climb in the window.
Yeah. and then feel a breeze underneath a grandfather clock. It's like, this is the fucking world's greatest detective. It's like, come on. It is bad. It is bad.
And the clock only opens if it's set to a certain time, which is the time that his parents died.
Okay.
So he wouldn't be able to just yank it open. I'm pretty sure it's magnetized.
Yeah.
To the wall.
And the pancakes. So to me, the card says "Good morning, Bruce." So is that "Good morning, Bruce" from Alfred, or is it Bruce saying "Good morning"? I guess
so Alfred sort of makes him food for when he comes in on the night. Like Alfred's always got a meal ready for him in the morning, so that's a nice little touch. It's nice that he just finds that and starts eating it.
Yeah.
Batman probably would have like thought of every eventual outcome, though, and those pancakes would be poisoned.
Sure. You can sort of see a smiley face on the plate. You can see two eyes and a sort of, I mean, obviously the syrup kind of looks like blood. I mean, and again, you sort of see the shadow of Rorschach behind Reggie as he's eating, which again is kind of, I mean, we've had this a billion times. The true identity is a silhouette. You know, it's just a bit sort of. He gets in the Batcave somehow. I should say,
just walks in.
He literally does, and he does so. He finds out there's a breeze from a match, which again is just kind of meh. We've seen this before, but the Gunga Diner, I should say, which is again, you know, we're in the Watchmen world. We're not in the Watchmen world anymore, but he's taking us ahead. He goes down through the thing, and Batman's alerted for a little alarm that, you know, someone's gone in there. And then we get to Lex. And what do you think about the sign of LexCorp Labs where "Go Missing" is scrawled over "Be Prosecuted"?
Yeah, I quite liked it.
Mm-hmm. That is Lex, isn't it? He's kind of quite obnoxiously brilliant, I guess.
They keep talking about this corporate takeover, don't they? We're LexCorp. They should call it a Lex corporate takeover.
Nice.
Having that?
Yeah, that's strong.
Yeah, so, we're in his office now. He's sort of, I don't know what he's working on, but he walks out firing everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to be going mental in the background. I don't know what they're doing. He throws his gloves into like some toxic waste chute. He says, "Oh, Ozymandius, what are you doing?" Yeah, we've then got an angel picture on the wall, which it's giving us bad flashbacks to Batman v Superman.
Yeah,
when Lex Luthor has his fucking stupid angel picture.
Oh yeah, of course.
Talks about that. They end the movie on that means nothing. And he doesn't seem that bothered. He's just like, "Oh, I'll get security to show you out. You have 3 minutes to talk your plan while I wait for security." Ha 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 ha.
I know, I don't really like it. I mean, it's cool that they meet. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very cool.
Yeah.
And you know, having read All-Star Superman recently, where Lex is a really good character, really interesting character, I was kind of endeared towards him. We go back to the two most hated people in this fucking universe. He's thirsty.
Still alive.
Yeah. Do you have your lockpick? And they look straight at the readers, you know, maybe as if to say, "This is lame, we know, but we're gonna get out. There's no rules here," sort of thing. And they're talking, and Lex's office is quite similar to, you know, Vight's office as well. But I mean, it's a free story, but Lex, I quite like it. You know, he realizes very, very quickly, what the fuck was your plan? Like, what were you actually trying to do?
He shits on Moore a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like, they just sort of reiterate the plan from the end of Watchmen with the whole alien invasion, uniting the world. And he's just saying, if you're the smartest man on your planet, I'd hate to meet the dumbest, which made us a bit angry because he's sort of calling Moore a bit dumb there, isn't he, Moore? He's calling me a fucking idiot. I'm fucking kill the bastard. Pull my finger. Pull more. How do you like it? Fuck Geoff Johns. I'll use him on the John. When I went to the John, I had a shite, you see. Hey, see you later. That was just Alan Moore popping in there to say, so he's sort of shitting on the entire Watchmen book, and I'm like, well, fucking hell. You thought it was good enough to write a new one about, you little dickhead.
And this is not bad, their meeting. I do like Rorschach going into the Batcave and thinking quite logically that this, you know, must be a villain, not a hero, because of all the trophies. Yeah.
No, it's nice, and it's got like nice little. It's got the flashbacks of the costumes and stuff.
What is that yellow costume? Who's
got no idea, mate.
No,
You've completely. I was really hoping you weren't going to ask me that because I've just shown myself up on the show.
There's some nice stuff. There's like the dice and stuff. Like it reminds me of the Fortress of Solitude in All-Star Superman when you see all the really cool stuff and.
Got penguin umbrellas there.
Yeah, the dinosaur.
T-Rex leg.
When did Batman fight a dinosaur?
Oh, it's just a staple of the Batcave that there's a giant penny in there and there's a giant T-Rex.
Yes, it's always there, isn't it? Yeah,
it's always there.
And we sort of learn a bit about Joker. Kills 18 nurses, 19 feared dead, 50. Fuck me, man. What an arsehole. So, yeah, he's killed his people. We get to see the cool Batman costume as well, and the Robin as well, and a gun. for some reason that he's in there for. And now we get to probably...
the guns is the gun that shot his parents.
Oh, is that the gun that shot his parents?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And now we get to, quite surprising. When I was reading this, I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. So they're talking, blah, blah, blah. This is Ozzy and Lex. Gunfire. Lex gets shot. And Comedian's back?
Yeah.
How?
No idea, but... I mean, the guy, Ozymandius does say impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no idea. I don't know how they're going to explain it. It sort of makes all of Watchmen pointless because the entire book was predicated on the comedian's death.
Literally.
But, people never stay dead in comic books unless their Uncle Ben, or I was going to say unless their Uncle Ben or the Waynes, but they brought the fucking Waynes back, didn't they? So, yeah, unless you're Uncle Ben, you don't stay dead.
And yeah, I mean, that's all we really, this time I'm ready for you, Comedian says. But that's interesting. This time I'm ready for you. So he has awareness of the other world that he's been in. So, I mean, the only explanation really is that Dr. Manhattan resurrected him. There's no other real explanation.
Yeah, maybe he's like a Dr. Manhattan projection. And he's saying, this time I'm ready for you is like the words of Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
But I really don't know. And then we've got a flashback to the Rorschach test randomly.
Which is his face. And then, so Batman and Rorschach finally meet. Which, and I quite like
There's a giant penny. The giant penny.
There is a giant penny, which is just kind of, I mean, Lincoln's looking towards Reg. I don't know what that means, but I quite like how this could be a mythic thing, a giant thing, but it's them talking about pancakes.
Yeah. You ate my breakfast. Yeah, I did.
It almost should be the close quote rather than Carson McCullers. It should just be about pancakes. And then we see the marionette and fucking mime are loose. That's who cares?
They should have just had the black quote panel, which they've shrunk to fit in this picture of them escaping.
They have. And it's not again,
like that black panel's been the same size in every issue, hasn't it? It's always been and they've shrunk it. They've fucked up the grid. They've fucked up the 9-panel grid.
There's literally no need though.
It's 10 panel. It's the first ever Watchmen page that's broken into 10 panels. They've ruined it.
We saw the lockpick. We knew they're gonna get out. Like, it's a comic book. Things have to move forward. We didn't need to see the handcuffs. We didn't need to see them.
And even if they are out, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Like Batman could track them down in probably about 10 minutes and stop them. Yeah.
And we're homesick most for the places we have never known. It's not that deep of a quote, really, but, it's there.
Yeah, it just seems really random.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like he's Googled nostalgia, and that's one of the quotes that came up.
I agree, yeah. Like on Brainy Quote, where you can literally tag quotes for whatever theme they go on. He's probably just read that. And then in our kind of, addendums, we get some, web pages here, which I kind of like it just from an inventive point of view, that on the second page, we get the Superman story, and then we get the news story, which is just sort of dragged over the top of the other story, which is how you would sort of read a web page, which is nice. But essentially, it's all about this metahuman stuff, how... all the superhumans are essentially concentrated in the US. What does this mean? Like, I don't mind the story, but it's kind of a lame truth. If that's true, if all superheroes are like government funded and sponsored, it kind of robs it a lot of its magic for me.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't really pay much attention to these. It annoyed me more because it looks like it's an iPad screen, yet they've got different windows open floating about, so that just annoyed us.
Right.
So I just slammed the entire book off that thing alone.
Yeah.
But I kind of read bits of it, and they seem to be focused very heavily on the Superman theory, which I don't know how it's going to play out, but at the moment it doesn't feel like it needs to be in the book.
No. There's, I believe there's an allusion to Green Lantern, because it's basically a picture. It says, bizarre green fire. I don't know why greed is in quotation marks. Destroys all-American steel factory. Which, again, do you have to call it an all-American steel factory? Like, they wouldn't call it that, but whatever. And yeah, this is clearly going to form the backbone of a lot of this issue. And also just there was an interview with Johns, and he spoke a lot about this and saying that it's going to, you know, it's big for the universe as a whole, not just Doomsday Clock. It's kind of Civil War-esque to a certain extent, this kind of divide between and government-sponsored and stuff like that. But this is kind of how we end. And I mean, all in all, Def, what's your thoughts on issue 2?
It's better.
Okay.
But still, it's not what I want.
No.
Do it how I want it. Do it exactly the same as the last one.
The thing is, I don't want us to sound like haters. I think we listen to
Well, it's a bit fucking late.
Bit late
we just spent an hour talking about how much we hate it.
But if you listen to our Watchmen episodes, you know, we love that comic and we go, you know, we praise it constantly. But you look at the reviews of people are going mad for this issue, and I'm just like, it's not good.
IGN give it a 9 out of 10.
A 9?
And they give Alien Isolation like a 5 out of 10.
Right.
It's the best game ever made. I just want to say that. But yeah, I don't know why this is getting a 9. Like what was in here that deserves that score? To be fair, I have reviewed some books myself that have given 9 out of 10s that when I posted the review, people have just called it a dickhead and said it was the worst comic book story ever made. But ironically, one of them was actually by Geoff Johns, which was Trinity War, which everyone hates. But yeah, it's not that good. I would probably, if I had to score it, because everyone loves scoring, a 5 going on a 6.
5 going on a 6. I'm going to go over 3.
Out of 100. Out of 100. No, just out of 10.
I just didn't find this exciting to read. Like, I was reading it because obviously we do it for the show, and I enjoy doing it for that reason. And also as a Watchmen fan, I'm sort of morbidly curious. But it's just, I didn't think there's any pacing to it. I thought it was a lot of look at these characters you know from different worlds meeting, but it didn't just have the integrity of a great plot going through it, which just, it didn't work for me.
It's to be honest, I was surprised that they had the characters meet this early on. Yeah. I thought they were going to drag it out for like a Frank Miller story. They were going to drag it out for like 7 issues, and then they'd meet. So I'm glad that they did meet, but
well, I mean, regardless of
it's kind of bland.
It is kind of bland. It's kind of broad. It definitely, lacks a subtlety for me. The tone is a bit, just a bit confusing at times as well. And some of the paneling I thought was rushed and didn't make it clear. Yeah. But yeah, we'll end as we always end. Of course, we will be back next month as well to do issue 3. But we'll end as we always end with emails. We'd love to hear from you. Please comment on the YouTube videos as well, of course, and get in touch with us, watchingthewatchmanpod@gmail.com. Our first email comes from David. He says, "Hi guys, these emails I should say came after our Doomsday 1 review." It says, "Hi guys, thank you for deciding to cover this Watchmen sequel / fanfiction hybrid on the show. But seriously, how many comics can be like Peanuts, or for better or for worse, that either have definitive endings or literally got decreed by the creator that no one continue writing about?" Now, I don't know about for better or for worse, and I've not really read Peanuts myself, but I'll take you on it, David. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Alan Moore conclusively has said this is done. I don't know if he said that in press, but clearly that's what he thinks. But it goes on. About the question, David says, regarding if World War II happened in the Watchmen universe, the superheroes debated whether to enter the war against the Nazis. Sally rebuffed allegations that she could possibly be Polish. Comedian ended up fighting the Japs in the Pacific. There were many mentions of the global nuclear war as World War III, so yeah, clearly it did happen. Also, World War II is extensively talked about in the suppository book pages for book 4, ironically the ones you guys pretty much skipped over because it didn't contribute much to the story.
Wow.
Good point, Dave. And he says, "Take care, David. Thank you very much." And mentioned before, awesome friend of the show. I've been emailing this guy quite a bit. Shout out to Eric. He says, "Thanks for the quick follow-up. You both absolutely did not come across harsh at all, because I basically said we came across as misers on Doomsday 1. You were very fair-minded. You measured Johns on what he tried to achieve. Good research on Mime and Marionette. I had no idea of their heritage. They are awesome. Maybe you can get him to pop in and basically, sorry, I should say, at the end he attached his photographic review of issue 1, and it's a picture of the Watchman balloon deflated. So nice. I think that's very good. Cheers and keep up the good work, Eric. So yeah, everyone, please get in touch with us again. watchingthewatchmanpod@gmail.com. Any closing thoughts, Steph?
Yeah. I hope we fucking end soon. Please don't make any more Watchmen after this. No. Please don't.
Oh God, they're going.
I'll let you do your 10 more issues, but please nothing more, please.
Oh man, I mean, oh man, it would never ever happen because I know Moore would rather fucking die than work for them. But wouldn't it be fucking awesome if they got Moore back for an issue? Like they were like, by the way, but obviously it's never gonna happen ever.
It's a shame that he doesn't own the rights to those characters.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he just do his own book? You know what? I think Moore's probably sick of them. I think he did what he wanted to, and now he's just like, I did what I wanted. Yeah. This was a complete story. Thank you for ruining it, you dickheads, with your fucking marionette and mime. Thanks a lot for introducing them in my universe. They're great characters. Thank you. Thank you so much. Fuck yes. No, dude, did you hear him? He's still here. He's still here. He's drinking his dry. He's drank his dry over Christmas, that lad.
He's retiring from comic books, actually. His last comic book is going to be the final League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, great. I actually just bought the omnibus of that. I've sort of got into the habit of buying comic books and then just putting them on my shelves and never reading them. But I've got that.
I love.
I've had it for months.
Yeah, I've only read the first volume of that. I think League is brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it's what, like, Alan Moore's so fucking clever that every character is like an old Victorian allusion to something. You know, it's just like he doesn't waste anything, whereas Johns can be a little bit garbled perhaps. But yeah, this has been Watching the Watchmen, second issue of Doomsday Clock. Thank you all for listening. Please comment below. What do you think of this issue? I'm sure a lot of people out there love it.
Don't comment if you disagree with us. Yeah. I don't want anyone to have a different opinion to me.
Well, if you want to despise it, email me, and we'll hear about this, and I'll just repost your comment.
Do what you want. Do what you want.
But your website, your Patreon, what should people check out?
Well, I don't see the point in mentioning the Patreon because no one fucking subscribes to it. But definition.co.uk, check out my comic, movie, game reviews. I'm doing loads on it. I'm reading through all the Batman graphic novels. I've started reading through Marvel ones. I'm just covering everything. So if you want to hear more of my stupid opinion, head over to there. Definition with two Fs. With two Fs, I can't spell. I know it's only got one F in normally. Please don't hate me.
So
what would you like to say, Tom?
I want to say, people, check out Def's links. Check out Def's Patreon.
Well, I've just wasted 10 minutes doing that. No, what do you want to tell the people? Give some of your own opinion.
Oh, well,
what's your closing thought?
My closing thought, I thought it was terrible, to be honest with you. I really didn't enjoy it. I like talking about it. I like trashing it.
You've been reading too much Alan Moore.
That's the problem.
You've been reading too much good stuff.
I need to read some more Trinity War, and I think I'll uphold this as an incredible piece of work. Again, get in touch with us as well. If you're interested in battle rap, me and Def have done loads of stuff on battle rap Resume, which is my other podcast. I also do a podcast on Metallica, Alpha Metallica, where I go through all of the songs of the band in order with guests from around the world. So check that out. We'll put all the links down below. But yeah, the best thing is for you guys to get in touch. We love to hear from you. We love the long form correspondence on the Watchmen mythos, on the comics, on the feedback. And yeah, Def, as always, it's been great, man. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, it's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from Alan Moore. Is he there?
Hello, fuck you. I'm using the issue as toilet paper. Get off, man. It's a digital copy. Don't wipe the arse with me iPad. Oh, fucking hell.